Mr. Walden.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm looking forward, I guess, to this markup. This may not be a good bill from my perspective, but it's certainly a big bill. 932 pages made available for the first time Friday evening as I was flying out to Oregon. I have to confess I have not made my way through the bill. But in the first 33 pages that I was able to get through before I flew all night back here, I remained troubled. I remain troubled by the confusing definitions that are part of this language. While there's improvement on its face on the biomass provisions, which I've spoken about a lot, I still believe there's language underlying those changes in definition that basically preclude the removal of woody biomass off federal lands that are most affected and most in need of treatment. In the West, we have enormous fires every year. We're going to go right into fire season soon. The woody debris that would come off those condition class 2 and 3 lands is most likely excluded by the provisions in this bill that prohibit it from being considered renewable if it comes off of old growth or mature stands. Second, new hydro. You continue, Mr. Chairman, to have language in this draft, and I understand you have another draft amending this draft, which we will get soon, that's bigger than the draft of 932 pages. But you continue to say the hydroelectric project installed on the dam is operated so that the water surface elevation at any given location and time that would have occurred in the absence of the hydroelectric project is maintained. Long and the short of it, you can't add hydro to an existing facility, use it as a battery to help even out the power curve for wind energy and not affect the elevation of the water behind the facility at some location and time. I don't think it's possible from an engineering standpoint to do that. So on the one hand, you would lead people to believe that new hydro added to an existing facility will count as renewable energy source, and yet the language found on page 15, beginning with line 12, basically, I believe, negates that possibility. So you rule out new hydro. You do make a change to go back to hydro that's been in existence since 1992 as opposed to, I believe it was 2000. I'd be curious to know why 1992 now is a good date forward for hydro to be considered when a few weeks ago it was not, and why that date was picked. We'll go through this bill. I wish we had time for a hearing. I really do. This is probably the most sweeping change in energy law and environmental law perhaps in the last 100 years. And I think you'd even have to admit to that it is enormous change. It's a change that will have generational effect for our kids and grandkids to come. It could have enormous consequences on the economy, some good, a lot bad, and every consumer will pay more for energy. Even members of your own party have said that. Mr. Butterfield, among others, was quoted as saying that. I think a policy that big deserves this committee's thoroughness in allowing people affected to come testify on the specifics of these issues. So my time's expired for now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and I look forward to moving along on the markup.
Thank you, Mr. Walden.